Hello and welcome. I am Astro Sarvesh, and in today's video I am going to teach you one of the most misunderstood yet most powerful tools in Vedic astrology, which is the Navamsa chart, also known as the D9 chart. So many people either blindly glorify the Navamsa chart or they misuse it by reading it without the birth chart. In today's session, I will explain in very simple and practical steps how to read the Navamsa along with the birth chart so you can judge the strength of the planets and the quality of marriage, maturity of career, and even timing of events of that person's life. And this method will completely change the way you look at charts. So let's first understand what is Navamsa. In the birth chart or D1, it shows the promise of life. In other words, it is the possibility of events that can happen in a person's life. And the Navamsa or the D9 shows the maturity and strength of that particular promise. It tells whether the planet will deliver smooth results or whether it will result in some kind of delays or struggles or challenges in the person's life. Now you can think of it in this manner. D9 is like a design of a new car, and D1 is like the design of a new car, and D9 is the car once it is driven after 30,000 kilometers or 50,000 kilometers. And only then do you see if a car really runs smoothly or is the car giving problems. We have to remember that D9 is not a replacement for D1. It only confirms how strong the promise in the D1 is for that person and what quality of result that person will finally experience in their life. So to read the D9, there is a golden formula, okay, and that you can note down or you can just understand. So the formula is promise, strength, and timing. So promise is D1, strength is D9, and timing is basically the dasha or transits. And the sequence has to be in this manner. D1 is, you have to look at the D1 of the person and look at what promise the chart has given to the person in this life. Then second step is to look at D9 and then see how strong that promise will be and whether that promise will last or whether that opportunity will be grabbed by the person. And third step is to look at the dasha and transit to show whether that promise or opportunity in the person's life will actually manifest or not. And this is how we are able to give predictions for the person when they come for our consultation for say 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year horizon, looking at their dasha or antardasha. Okay. Now let's understand how you can judge a planet, whether it is strong or weak. So when you look at a planet in D9, we have to check certain things. The first thing is to check whether the sign dignity is there. Okay, so what is sign dignity? Basically, we have to check whether it is exalted or debilitated, whether it is in its own sign or is it in a friendly or neutral or in an enemy sign. Okay, so we have to look at the sign's dignity. Then second step is we have to look at the house placement. Now, which area of life is it directing and where is the energy ultimately maturing in the person's chart. Third step, we have to look at whether the aspects and conjunctions are happening, and when those aspects or conjunctions are happening, who is supporting that conjunction and who is disturbing it. And finally, after looking at all these three steps, we have to go to the fourth step, which is the D9 Lagna and its Lord. And here we will see the overall strength and the health of the Navamsa chart of the person. Now let's take two examples. For example, if Venus looks strong in D1 but it is debilitated in D9, then relationship and comforts that are promised to the person in D1 will not manifest, but the person will feel unstable in life, and especially before the age of 30 they will not get the benefit of the D1 Venus. Let's look at one more example. If Saturn is average in D1 but it becomes powerful in D9, then the results of Saturn, what is Saturn? Saturn is nothing but delays, disappointment, and hard work. So the result of Saturn will come late in life. Okay, so initial part of life before 35 will be smoother, but after the age of 35 the results of Saturn will be much more stronger, but they will be able to overcome that challenge because the D1 is not that strong, but sorry, D9 is powerful. They will be able to overcome that challenge, and the person will be able to do the hard work, go through those challenges, and come out as a victorious person in later part of their life, which is around 45 and above. Okay, so this is how we have to look at D1 and D9 in reference to each other. Now there is one more aspect to this, which is the Navamsa and its effect on marriage of a person. So marriage is the most popular use of Navamsa, and here we have to understand one thing clearly, that marriage is not seen only from the 7th house in the birth chart. Navamsa is also a very important aspect. So how to look at Navamsa in the aspect or in respect to marriage? So number one is we have to look at the 7th house and the 7th house lord in D1. Here again we have to look at the promise of the marriage. Then second step is we have to check Venus for men and Jupiter for women and Moon for both of them, and these planets will show the nourishment and bonding of the marriage that the person will enjoy. Okay, and then third step is now we have to check the dignity of the 3 planets in D9. If they are strong in D9, then even if there are challenges in D1, the marriage will improve with time and it will mature properly. For example, in the house in D1 looks weak, but Venus in D9 is exalted. It means that marriage will start with struggle but will improve over time, and especially after the age of 35 of the person, the marriage will become better, and even during Venus Dasha, the marriage will become better. Okay, so this is how we can look at Navamsa and marriage. Similarly, we can look at Navamsa in career as well. See, career is not just seen, similar to marriage, how marriage is not just seen through the 7th house, career is not just seen through the 10th house in the D1, 10th house and D1. You should also consider how the 10th house lord behaves in the D1. For example, if the 10th house lord is strong in D1 but in D9 it becomes debilitated, then career may start well but stability will be an issue for that particular person. That person will rise quickly but also suddenly face a downfall in their life, or if not a downfall then definitely a stagnation in their life, because D9 is debilitated. Another example is if the 10th house lord is weak in D1 but becomes strong in D9, then the person may struggle early in life to find a field that is suitable for him or her, but will achieve stability and long lasting success after the maturity, which is after the age of 35. Okay, so this is how there are many people who are late bloomers, or when we see people who achieve success after the age of 35, 36, 40 and beyond, and D9 plays a huge role in this particular success story. And in reverse, we also see there are many people who become successful in their 20s, but by the time they are 35, 40, 45, their success starts to reduce. Okay, so this is how we have to look at the D1 and D9. Okay, now there are some of the common mistakes that people make, and we need to avoid these mistakes. So when we look at D9, then the first mistake that a lot of people do is they read D9 without understanding the promise in D1, which is wrong, because unless and until we completely understand what is the promise in D1, we will never be able to read and give proper prediction for D9. Second mistake that people do is they declare negative result just because one planet is weak in D9. Okay, so just because one planet is weak in D9 doesn't mean that the entire transition of that person is going to be affected. We need to look everything in a wholesome manner and then give the prediction. And third is they ignore the dasha and transit, which is extremely crucial to give the proper prediction, because without understanding the proper dasha or antardasha of that person, we will not be able to give a complete picture to the person, and the prediction most probably will not go right.